Okay, people. So I have the pleasure of once again conversating with the great Bill Thomas. So we spoke, I feel it was towards the end of last year when The Adventures of Maid Marian dropped. And that was a very fun conversation. And I think towards the end of that, you said you had some new projects, right? And so yeah, we get to talk about one of those new projects.
Yeah, excellent. It's come out yesterday? No, 2 days ago, didn't it?
Mm,
Yeah,
yes, the Three Musketeers.
indeed.
I
Yeah,
think I don't know about you, but I just remember like Alexandre Dumas is I love the books, right? And the Three Musketeers is one of my favorite stories. Just
yeah, likewise.
literally one of my favorite stories. As a kid, D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers, a must
Absolutely.
watch.
Yeah, yeah. That tune is burned into my head. Yes.
And yeah, I remember there was the Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, yep,
Oh,
yep. From
yeah.
sort of late 70s. Yeah,
Yeah. And then there was the 93 film with like Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland,
yeah.
which ain't one of the best ones. That
It's the
that's
Disney one.
great.
Yeah,
Such a great
yeah.
film.
Porthos in that is fantastic. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I was very happy to see that was on Disney Plus when I was
Yeah.
going through going, oh, what's on here?
Hmm.
Now, there's been iterations that I haven't gelled with,
Hmm.
you know,
Yep.
like
Likewise.
the flying ships in.
Yeah, the 2011 one. I mean,
Oh,
bits of that are great. Like Orlando Bloom just looks like he's having the best time ever, which is so he stood out a lot. But yeah, I know what you mean. The sort of the steampunk for me was a bridge too far. But yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And let's not talk about James Corden.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I try never to talk about James Corden. I wasn't a fan of the BBC series either.
I thought some of it looked really good. Um,
It was stylized.
yeah,
I kind of felt, and it was like because I remember I remember because they did the Robin Hood series as well.
yeah,
And it was just, and the big selling point, I remember when that came out, it's like, oh, and he's wearing a hoodie. And I'm just like,
yeah.
that's not like, what are you doing?
It was
Stop it.
Robin Hoodie, wasn't it? Yes.
Oh, there's to me, again, you might have remember this, but it was Robin of Sherwood.
Yeah,
That was the series.
totally. Yes, completely
Uh,
agree with you.
Yeah.
Nazir and all the rest of it. Yeah,
And
it
then
was.
when they changed Robin after what, season 2 or something, he
Yeah,
suddenly had different color hair and everything, and it's
it
just
was
like, yo, what?
Sean Connery's son, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all of like just what I mean, that history, the legacy of like this great piece of work, what was it that made you think, you know what? I'm gonna tell my Three Musketeers story.
Oh, I've only got a terrible answer to that, which is Signature Entertainment, who distributed Marion for us. They had decided they wanted to make a Three Musketeers, so they invited me to come and join in. So it was their
Ah,
project that way around, rather than me approaching them this time.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And when they asked you, right, what was the thought? What came to mind when you initially were thinking about, okay, how will we do this?
I mean, the first one was brilliant. Kind of like you, I'm a huge fan of the Musketeers. So yeah, I mean, the first thing was this sounds fantastic. I'm in. Um, and then after that, really, it's I guess the script was written by a couple of guys who they've worked with before, Dean Lyons and Ray Bogdanovich, and so it's kind of breaking down their script, seeing what their ideas were, and really, I suppose the first thing that came to mind is um, this sounds really appropriate for a friend's farm up in Wales. There's a guy called Kev Smith who has a farm into really rugged territory up there, and it's just kind of this whole thing's sort of set in a spooky forest. It's kind of a cross-country chase.
Mm.
Yeah, great. We get to go to Wales.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know. You never thought that was Wales.
Yes, I mean there's some fantastic landscape there. We're smack in the middle of Snowdonia, and Kev Smith, he's a stunt coordinator, and his other half is an animal wrangler. So they've got their own farm, and they've got horses. He's got a load of his stunt gear. So kind of all of it was plus the landscapes as well. So it all just it was the perfect place to go, really.
Ah, nice.
I've been looking for an excuse to shoot there for years.
Yeah, I haven't been down to Wales in a while, but it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
When you get, a script come through, so it's something you haven't written yourself, kind of thing. Like, what is the process of that? Like, are you able to kind of take a stab at it yourself? Can you like take bits out, add bits, or is it pretty much this is what we're shooting?
No, it's a little bit of both, really. The sort of anything like that, you're given a director's pass, so you're kind of given, I guess, the right or the permission or whatever to kind of go through and alter things to your own tastes and that kind of thing. And then also there's kind of a layer of practicality that has to be dealt with as well, because these guys have written the scripts. When they do it, they don't know what the budget's going to be exactly, and they don't know where it's going to be shot. So there's a whole bunch of practical things that need to come in. So yeah, absolutely. Myself and also the producers will kind of come in and alter what needs to be changed to make it kind of fit the realities of filmmaking, I guess. Yeah. So my brother's a writer as well, so the pair of us did some rewrites here and there. Yeah, kind of make things achievable, really.
Okay, cool. So you get called in, right? You jump at the opportunity of playing in this sand blot. What's the next step?
Where do we go? I mean, casting's really important, and kind of again, we're kind of helped with that from obviously I arrived with some suggestions. I'm always trying to squeeze some of my old friends in there.
I noticed a few. I noticed
yeah, there's a couple here and
there.
And then, but also the distributors have got some opinions about who they'd like, and the production company also kind of bring a load of their people, and kind of there's just a load of negotiating back and forth, really. But the cast is kind of key, really, and kind of once we lock them in, it just gives you a feel for, we have a read through and things, just feel for how they interact with each other and just what the dynamics are going to be, I guess. For the next.
Okay, no, solid cast, really good performances. Was a little hurt. No one called me for D'Artagnan, but I let it slide. I let it slide. You know what I mean?
There's a sequel. Do the Man of the Iron Mask when they're all a bit older. Could be fine.
Okay. It might be a Robin of Sherwood situation. People be like, "Yo, what happened to D'Artagnan?"
Perfect.
We couldn't explain it away as distress, or maybe I don't know. But no, like, was there any specific things you were looking for with the casting of these, and especially when you think of like the people who have played these roles in the past, like were you looking to like make like it very different to what has been, or were you just, what did you have in mind?
No, I think for me I really love the films and the books, and I think I was wanting to do kind of a fairly straight homage to it, I guess. Just trying to very much go for kind of a family fun adventure. Kind of, it's a romp. It's kind of, I think to a degree, I sort of agree with you that the BBC TV series for me was, I did enjoy it, but I kind of felt it was possibly a little bit cold, and I guess being brought up on sort of sort of the 1970s, late 70s Musketeers. They're so over the top, and they're fun romps. And the Disney one as well. So I think I kind of wanted to do that kind of tone. So yeah, have some fun with it. Really, I think that was my goal.
Well, it is funny when I was talking about this in my review. I did say that. Well, I said it was terrible. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. No, I said that it reminded me of those like serials. Remember, like Forbidden Planet,
Yeah,
Flash Gordon. There was this. You know what I mean? There was a joy to it. It felt like
yeah,
this classic swashbuckling. Is
yeah.
that
That's it. Swashbuckling. Yes.
the swashbuckling adventure? That's what it is. Like in
Yeah,
that vein of those old classics. That even the Flash Gordon film, he's alive. He just felt
yeah,
like that, and
yeah.
that was just so much fun.
Hmm. That was it. Really, it's kind of it's. I'd say Musketeers is it's a family sort of audience for things like that, I guess. And so yeah, very much trying to go for fun, trying to what would I have enjoyed when I was a kid, I guess.
So how do you kind of instill that into something? Because there's definitely like when you think about things that have come in the past and people have talked about, maybe like, oh, we were looking to do this, and you watch it and be like, that's not what happened there. You didn't do that. Like, so how
Yeah,
do you make it that? Like, is it in the writing? Is it in the prep you tell the actors? Like,
I think
what's
it's
your
a bit of both. I think probably actually the Touchstone film to give people, because the actors kind of asking for what the tone was, and we're trying to go for something like Pirates of the Caribbean or Indiana Jones, so kind of giving them those sorts of references, just so everyone gets, there's a bit of humor. It's, I guess, the underlying single word under the whole thing is adventure, as opposed to, it's not meant to be an action movie. It's not meant to be a thriller. It's meant to be an adventure. Yes, I think we're all kind of working in the same direction. I hope with that in mind, I guess.
Okay. And like, there's 4 books, right? I believe there's 4 books.
Yeah,
There's like Three Musketeers. Is it 10 years later?
yeah, yes. And
Um.
then,
Oh no,
sorry,
sorry.
carry on. Yes,
Oh no. So yeah, I was thinking it's 10 years later. Then there's.
I
Oh
think I think
gosh.
there's 20 years later as well, isn't there?
Yes, 20 years later, and then it's a name. It's someone's name is the 4th book or something, I
Do you know
believe.
what? I can't remember.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember there being so many books. But yeah, I remember when Disney did the Man in the Iron Mask. That's kind of a loose sequel type of thing. So,
Yeah,
like coming in, did you know that there's the potential for? Is that what was said? Was it like James Cameron situation? You need to break this threshold. Maybe not a Billy, but you need to break this threshold to make a sequel. Like what was the conversation there?
I mean, really, it was. No, I don't think there's any sort of demand from Signature to do that. I think it was more. Um, Here's a script. What can we do with it? Do you think I don't have a good answer for that. No, is the answer.
But you would tell more stories.
Oh, absolutely. Gosh, yeah, I'd happily do more of them. Yeah, very much so. Man of the Iron Mask would definitely be on the list.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. No, there's definitely some fun stuff. Now,
yeah,
the other interesting thing about this coming out now, because we've got the Three Musketeers Milady and the Three Musketeers D'Artagnan coming this year.
yeah. There's the Vincent Cassel Three Musketeers, isn't there?
Mm.
I think they might have had slightly more money than us.
Yeah, there was a word that there might be, a 10 note a little bit more. You know
Just
what I
a
mean?
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, just a little, there's a touch.
Hmm.
Like when like things like that are coming, does that kind of play into what you aim to do, the kind of thing you're trying to work on?
No, I don't think so. No, I think it's more kind of you sort of the kind of adage of don't compare yourself to others. It does, with the budget that we're working on, we can't hit anywhere near what they're doing. But they must have. I'm going to make a wild stab of a guess, but they must have kind of 40, 50 times more bigger budget than we've got. So
I imagine it's silly.
it's it's good. There would be no point attempting to compete in any way. It's kind of let's tell our story as best as we can with what we've got, and kind of enjoy that as a filmmaking experience, really.
Mm. Yeah, no, it was as I said, it's fun all the way through. Like you're just pulled in all the way. You're just like enjoying and just it was just the opening where D'Artagnan he calls out the musketeer. I'm just remembering those little bit. I feel like, oh yeah, this is fun. Just seeing how you then did that aspect of the story and how you like progress it was a lot of fun. But how did you pin it all together? Like,
I was going to go back to just you talk about him calling out the Three Musketeers. There's a great kind of little anecdote about that, which is that Alexandre Dumas' father was a soldier in the French army, and that the story of D'Artagnan getting into 3 fights is actually an anecdote about his dad. His dad got into 3 fights in a day.
Oh shit!
So that's quite a cool little thing that sort of Dumas put into the Musketeers. So that's quite nice.
Oh no, I did not know that.
No, I didn't. Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
His dad is well worth looking up. It's a guy called Thomas Dumas, and he was Haitian. He was a general in the Revolutionary Army, and I mean, he's worth making a film about just on his own. Very interesting character.
Do you think you might do that?
I don't know. I think it's a story for somebody else. I think, yeah, but yeah, go to Google, have a hunt. He's really interesting.
No, yeah, I remember just when I took a deep dive on Dumas, and that was interesting. Right, just like everything you find out about, because I think as a little kid, you just enjoy the stories and things like that. But I think no one ever tells you like this is from like a black author, which is crazy for the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I mean? So then there's just this, there's something else. Like one of your favorite stories is written by someone like you, and you're just like, oh shit, like oh, we can write books, like we can be authors. Like this is fun, man.
Yeah, it's not very well known, that is it? But it's kind of like do I want? Yeah, let's get into this. I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about this or not, but we've cast a black D'Artagnan, and there's a couple of other black characters in the film, and of course YouTube. You get all those people sort of making comments about that and about how they think it's inappropriate and stuff, and it's fantastic in some ways for once, other than just being rude. It's fantastic to be able to say, actually, go and do your homework. I think you'll find things you think are inaccurate.
Yeah. I would be like, the D'Artagnan of my time was white. Why did you change the ethnicity of D'Artagnan, Bill? Was it all that kind of nonsense?
Totally, yeah, very much so. But I think I think grow up, and I think go to Google, go and look up Thomas Dumas amongst other things, and have some fun. Go and learn some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if people were like, I can't believe they turned D'Artagnan into a muskehound. This is ridiculous.
yeah, totally. Yeah. Who's complaining about that? It's kind of, I mean, it's hardly too soon, is it? Being from, a couple of centuries old. So,
yeah. Oh dear. I really enjoyed the score as well.
Yeah. That was oh gosh, I'm going to embarrass myself by now having temporarily forgotten his name. But the guy who did it has worked with Picture Perfect lots of times before.
Christopher Cook.
That's it. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So we hadn't worked together before that. So we were kind of put together by Jeet and Lucinda from Picture Perfect. You know them, don't you? You've come across them before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he's done a bunch of their films, and yeah, we had a ton of fun. I kind of learned a bit more about scoring and things because my previous film, Marion, the music on that was mostly library music. So it was really good fun to work with the composer. He brought tons to it. So
Now, how does that relationship happen?
well, at the time, mostly through Zoom. kind of still, yeah, the still sort of the end of COVID going on, but yeah, so kind of they put us together. We talked our way through it first. I gave them a bunch of reference music. Again, things like Pirates of the Caribbean. He came back with a few suggestions. He wrote there's kind of a bass melody which which he uses a theme which kind of recurs in different sort of forms throughout throughout the film, and yeah, it's kind of built like that really, and kind of he sends tracks to me. I have a listen to them. We tweak them if we have to. Yeah, it just sort of slowly builds up, and kind of the editors involved with that as well, and kind of because some of the pieces have to be written to particular durations, whereas some of them are a general theme but have almost like they're called stings, which are kind of like sort of short little parts of the same track, which kind of can resolve it faster, so the editor can shrink a track and just kind of put a sting on the end of it to tidy it up, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then yeah, a little bit of a mixture of everything.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it really did, because music in films, I find sometimes it frustrates me, right? Because sometimes it's just, it feels like people are leaning on that to give the emotion, rather than like the scene itself telling you what's going on, type of thing. So I that kind of, I find it a little frustrating, because I'm just like, if you stripped all the music out, everything should speak for itself,
Yeah, that's fair. Yes.
But
Yeah.
this music, it's not like going, this is a sad scene, it's just in underpinning this kind of swashbuckling fun element, and it feels like it's music from the time, and it really kind of just helps paint that picture for you, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think it drives it along really well.
Yeah. What was the shoot process like? How many days did you have on this one?
It was short. It was 15 days, I think.
Okay.
Which is tight. Because there's horse riding and fighting and explosions and kind of all the logistics of being outdoors, all those sorts of things. So it's pretty tight. But so kind of we all went to Wales. Kind of we did a bunch of recce's beforehand. Myself and the DOP, and who's a guy called Paul Jenkins, who I've worked with lots before, and then Rick Gordon, the producer. Kind of we went up a few times, kind of walked through all the locations, kind of blocked the scenes out, kind of figured out where each place would be, and kind of played our way through the scenes. And then we went up probably a week before, I think, and the art department started as well. Kind of they built, Milady's carriage. They bought a kind of a carriage base, and then they built kind of the rest of the sort of the black wooden studded carriage on top of that. All sorts of props and things were built and brought in, and then we kind of had a base on the farm. We had everybody kind of in sort of pickups and 4-wheel drives and things, kind of going to different parts of the hills around us, and got a lot of radios to communicate and stuff. And there was about 65 of us, I think, so it's a fairly big crew. And we had a mini unit running as well with for a lot of the horse riding and stuff. So we had a kind of a drone going for that. And Kev, who's the stunt coordinator I mentioned, he directed some of the horse riding stuff.
Okay. And with this, you've got 15 days to shoot it. Like, did you try and record all the horse riding stuff on one day? Or like, how did you kind of break things up this time around?
So gosh, how did we do that? So, kind of week one was, I think, the first day was horse riding with the main characters. I have to admit that we had to use doubles here and there for just so we kind of we did main unit stuff with the actors riding, and then on a separate day we had doubles. Luckily, they're all wearing big hats and cloaks and things, just because kind of the performance stuff on horse is all quite close and quite controlled. But when they're kind of bombing across the countryside, the big open fields and things, and with thundering down roads and stuff, we can't really have the main cast doing that. So yeah, they're kind of doubles for that. Just to make it safe, really, just because they're really going for it. And you know how every actor says they can ride, every actor says they can swim, all of those things, and sometimes that's not entirely accurate. And yeah, so kind of the first week was almost all woodlands, forests, that kind of stuff, and then the second week we were in, because we had James Cosmo with us playing the Cardinal, so we were in kind of a place called Goodyear Castle, which is a little stately home in Snowdon, where I shot before, and then we were also in our tavern set for that second week, which was kind of an old Tudor barn somewhere near Anglesey, heading in that direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did you storyboard all of this out? Like how did you keep the beats in check?
Yeah, no, I don't tend to storyboard very much, but because I've shot a lot, I guess I've shot with Paul, our DOP, a lot. We've probably done, heading for about 40 documentaries together. So we know how each other works. We know what our visual language is, so we don't tend to board things unless it's, I don't know, a stunt scene or a visual effects scene where something complex has to be sort of translated to the crew. So it's more that what we tend to do, we tend to pick, I guess, a master angle for every scene, because a lot of what we shot on a small jib. So we'd set that up and we'd kind of have like a master move. So there's kind of motion in this at the beginning of every scene as much as we could. And then we kind of break it down into sort of covering the characters. But yeah, no, storyboarding, it definitely has its uses until it goes wrong. until the horse doesn't stay where it's supposed to, and those kind of things. And so kind of I don't know, I kind of find storyboarding can be very useful, but can also be quite demoralizing when your day is not happening the way you hoped it would. So unless we tend to not use them unless they're needed. But it's more, there's kind of I guess we have a philosophy of follow the puck, which is you watch the scene and you can kind of see the story travel around the scene. So kind of so it's right. Sort of seeing how you're kind of watching for the reactions and what effect it has on another character and that kind of thing. And that sort of dictates where the focus is traveling and where we feel we need to be for close-ups and things.
Okay. Yeah. And like, is this something that has come to you through time, or is this kind of a philosophy you've had from the beginning coming in and it's just kind of developed over time?
No, actually, I did a course with a guy called Simon Phillips, who is a directing teacher, and I guess he opened my eyes to it's like follow the puck isn't his thing. That's just the thing I've got from the Canadians, hence ice hockey puck. I've worked out in Canada a bunch of times, and that's how they refer to it.
I mean, I don't know how you can follow that puck moves so freaking fast. I liked ice hockey because I just remember playing the EA Sports game as a kid, and then thinking, "Oh, they're showing it on TV. Great, I'll watch the Rangers play," and then going, where's the puck? Like, what's I can't watch this game. It's too fast.
I do enjoy it, but I get a bit bored of the sort of the setup fights that they have. They're so obviously fake.
Gosh, yeah.
But yeah, so kind of, but I guess in that, I suppose one of the things he emphasizes is that you're kind of like that it's not about coverage. The standard thing of get a wide, get a medium, get a couple, get close-ups, etc. It's more the thing that you should be covering, and the shot sizes are dictated by where the story is, whose head kind of whose point of view it's seen from, etc., etc. So that's quite liberating, really. Just kind of feeling like you're not you don't have to get all the coverage. It's about follow the story, follow the emotions, see the cause and effect. So when someone sees something, you need to see what it is that's caused the change in them. And I guess that's how we tend to shot list. We kind of do we do sometimes shot lists. A lot of the time we use just kind of like sort of top down camera maps. That's probably the majority of our planning is kind of based around those, I guess.
Okay. And like with a story like this, and especially one that, I mean, like means so much, just from those childhood memories and just everything like that. Do you think this was like the perfect time to make it in the sense of, after all the things you've worked on and the knowledge you've obtained and the experience, that now you can do it more justice than if it was, say, your second film?
Yeah, definitely. I learned loads of things doing our Maid Marian film. I learned tons more things doing Musketeers, but it's very much, I don't know, because it's action adventure. I mean, there's a lot going on in that film. There are fights that had to be choreographed. The actors have to learn. There's horse riding. There's things blowing up. There's visual effects in there. Kind of, all of the muzzle flashes. None of those are practical. All of the gunfire is VFX.
Okay.
Which is really, for the budget, it's incredibly good quality. There's some a guy called Matt Barker, who's a VFX artist I know. I'll drop it. He's an Emmy-winning VFX artist that I know. He supervised the VFX for that for us, so that the quality of that is fantastic. I don't know. It's definitely not a first film. There's so many moving parts in there. Yeah, kind of carriages and literally moving parts and landscape and weather. It would be it was tons of fun, but it would be a foolish thing to try and do the first time out of the gate.
Now, when you're using, like, you have to use VFX in something, how does that work? Like, do you look at the artist's work before you start shooting, so you have an idea of what it's going to be like? Or is it just once you've shot, you'll be like, okay, so we need to add the model. Who can we find to do that? Like, how do you kind of work that process? Because I can imagine there's a pressure because you've shot it, but that could mess up everything if it's not done well. So, like, how do you kind of work that kind of stuff out?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, because I've known Matt for quite a few years now, so I already knew what he and his guys could bring, so I didn't really need to vet that as such. But we chatted about stuff. I've got quite a visual effects background anyway, so I guess I understand most of the processes involved. We make a list of all the shots. We sit down and we'll board those, just really rough sort of fag packet sketches, rather than fully resolved things. I'll show them to Matt. Matt will tell me why I'm wrong. And then on any of the big visual effects days, he'll come along and be on set and be on my shoulder like a little demon, kind of helping guide us. But really, it's just prep, isn't it? We're both fairly experienced at it, so we've got a pretty good idea of what's likely to work and what we're likely to need for it. Yeah.
Okay. So when you're shooting those shots, what happens? Like, does the gun make a sound to kind of show that the shot's being, so then the other actor on the other end like does their thing? Like, how do you work that stuff out, kind of thing?
Well, luckily, because they're old-fashioned flintlocks and they're replicas. When you pull the trigger, the lock snaps forward and it hits the pan, and it makes quite a loud click, so everyone is able to react to that.
Okay, right, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. I mean, it's just like with the whole Rust situation, it's like and you know, hearing about gun safety on sets and all of that, it's very interesting to kind of, when you learn about that kind of thing and be like, oh, so that's and so they do this kind of thing and that, and it's just like this crazy whole process that you have to go through.
I mean, there is the safety thing, but I think our decision to do VFX really was speed, because it's such a short shoot. Kind of, even if you're using just a standard blank fire, you have to reload it, and that takes time. But when you're and the safety of that, but using things like flintlocks, any of the kind of matchlocks, or all those kind of period guns, they're black powder weapons, so they take quite a long time to reload. There's the safety of that, and we just didn't have the time. So it's kind of, let's from the outset, let's not even go down that route. And especially with black powder weapons in the rain in Wales, any of those kind of things. It's like, let's not even go there.
Oh man, like I remember when we spoke about Marion, there was a few things came up during that shoot that you had to problem solve. So this time around, was it an easier shoot in that regard, or were you still, having to cryptum factor it at some points?
Yeah, I mean, there's, it's a relatively low budget film, so there's lots and lots and lots of making, kind of making things up. But again, in the prep, we sort of, I guess, we designed a look around what we knew, like with Marion, but kind of around what we knew was available to us. So kind of, it's a little bit A-team, make it up with what you've got. The other one, so I can't specifically remember anything going wrong outside of the regular things that go wrong when you're filmmaking. But one of the things that sort of caught us all out was when we went on our recce's. Twice when we went on our recce's, because we were there in February, it was snowing.
Oh,
so when we got there, we were shooting in March. We got there, and all of us had kind of like rain gear and warm stuff and wellies and everything, and it was glorious sunshine for a fortnight. So I got sunburn in Wales in March. So slapping around in wellies when I should have been in flip flops. But I don't know. I mean, not much went wrong. I don't think that, there was a couple of logistically difficult things that we were shot at a waterfall on one day, and that was a tough day for the crew, getting all the gear down down the rock faces and things to get there. There's obviously the animals. We did have a day when one of the horses in particular was not playing.
Right.
But that's don't work with animals or children. It's sort of, I guess it's kind of what you expect, isn't it? Kind of, I don't know, people's boots falling apart in the rain, and or not the rain, and when they're splashing through rivers and things, and but nothing massively untoward. The occasional plane, the occasional military jet flying around, kind of doing maneuvers around the mountains in Snowdon. But
that could be problematic. I don't think they had them in that time.
We had a couple of hours with James Cosmo filming, and I don't know if you remember, there's a scene with the king and the cardinal in the garden of the stately home firing guns at a target. And there's about an hour and a half of shooting that, where there were planes, there was like a road gang, because it's quite near a road gang set up and started drilling, and just all of that kind of hit at once. But again, it's that's the nature of filmmaking, isn't it?
Yeah, it does seem to be. But you made it work, man. You made it work.
Yeah, he was very patient that day. proper gentleman.
Cosmo was a very good cardinal.
He was great, effortless, and by far the best horse rider out of anybody there.
Oh, really?
And given his age, he was climbing up unassisted, hopping off, horses doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But I guess with a career like his, he's probably done quite a lot of horse handling, isn't he?
Yeah, probably. Probably. I've never ridden a horse.
I have, but I'm like a sack of potatoes.
uh-huh. I, I said I really like that chess set they were playing with.
Oh
That
yeah,
was a
nice.
nice
Yeah,
chess set.
yeah. Well, Errol, our production designer, found that I think online somewhere, but yeah, good bit of online shopping. That.
Ah, nice. Like, do you leave that kind of detail up to others, or do you have an idea of those little touches that you want in a piece?
Yeah, I mean, it's as with everything else, it's a bit of a negotiation, I guess. So I used to, I can't remember if we talked about this before, but I used to be an art director and a prop maker in films.
Mm.
So I guess I turn up with some opinions. But the guys I've worked with loads, and they, they know what they know sort of the taste I've got and things. So we're all on a fairly similar wavelength already. So we just it's kind of like I was saying, really. It's kind of we pool our resources and work out what we've got and what we can get, what's available to us, partly in Wales, what we have to bring over there as well, and what we can beg, borrow, and steal, and what things we have to build. Yeah, I think I can't remember if I mentioned this, but the costumes that the Musketeers are wearing, they're kind of wearing those leather shoulder guards and stuff, which are very much influenced by the BBC one. Just it's not historically accurate, but it looks cool. But they came about because a friend of mine is he's a sort of film and TV leather worker. He's just done House of Dragons, the Game of Thrones spin-off and
Okay.
things like that. And we've been mates for donkey's years, and I just pretty much said, I don't suppose. And he said, yeah, no worries. So he's made us some very, very nice quality leather work for it, which really kind of brings up the production value.
Yeah, no, costumes looked on point, and it felt of the time, because I think that was the thing with the BBC one. It was a little too kind of shiny, a little too slick kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we sort of had to make the choice, I guess, that with this, that because it's low budget, you can't do you're kind of limited on what you're able to do. So kind of the budget isn't there to do a fully historically accurate piece at all. So kind of you kind of have to embrace the choice that this is going to be a fantasy film. And once you make that choice, then you can kind of have fun with people's costumes and with yes, they wouldn't have worn those leather shoulder guards, but they look great, so let's do it. And that kind of thing. And there's a couple of ludicrous fantasy guns in there, like Porthos is running around with that sort of deck gun at one point.
Oh, yeah.
That's obviously, if you fire that, you're going to blow your arm off. But it's fun swashbuckling, isn't it?
Yeah. Though I think in one of the Sharp books, Bernard Cornwell, the guy, oh God, I can't remember, the Irish guy that hangs around.
Patrick Harper.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
He has a big barrel gun, and he writes that, it was taking people's shoulders off, and he was the only one that could hold it. And then one bit Sharp tried to use it, and then just smashed his arm up, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm a massive fan of Sharp as well. I'd love to do one of those.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Yes. Sean's getting a bit old for that now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I could play a Sharp as well, to be honest,
Bill. There you go. Right.
Yeah. I think I could do a Sharp.
Send us your tape.
When it comes to the budget, what is that like, right? Knowing you're making like these indie type of films, and so the budget is this certain level, but you want to tell a certain story, right? So what, like, is there sometimes a thought of I can't tell that story has to wait, or we're gonna have to really pare that down, or you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to compromise too. Like, what is the thought on the restrictions and the freedom sometimes of telling stories with that sort of budget, and how has it helped you evolve as a filmmaker, would you say?
I mean, it's kind of part of it, really. I quite like having parameters. So because I don't know, the idea of let's make a film is so broad.
Mm.
What should we do? You can do anything you can think of. So actually having the kind of the limitations, the parameters of okay, we can only afford this much time, we can only afford this many people, we can only afford this many VFX. It kind of makes you go, okay, so we've got to construct or in this case, we sort of reconstruct our story to fit those parameters. But I think every film that's ever been made is done in that same way. It's kind of we've got the ideal and the wish that our goal, and now we have to deal with the practicalities as well. But I quite enjoy that side of it, really. And it's there are lots of things that we would have done bigger and differentely. But you find the best way. I guess it's the story is the key, isn't it? It's how can we tell the story?
Yeah.
I don't know, things like the attack on when the Musketeers attack the camp at the end. Obviously, I would have had 50 more explosions if we could have done, but that's not the nature of this beast.
Like, do you ever think about what that story would be with a bigger budget? Like, do you know what I mean? Is there ever a resentment, or are you just happy to make films the way you're making films?
No, I mean, there's definitely not a resentment, because that's kind of a waste of your life, isn't it? If you sit around being bitter about those kind of things, it's more kind of like, it's really exciting if somebody says, like with this one, it's kind of, we have a budget. Would you like to come and make Three Musketeers? Yeah. If they'd said, do you want to do it for half the money? I still would have said yes. If they'd said, do you want to do it for 5 times the money? Yes. It's kind of, how else would I like to spend my March? I'd love to do that. Yeah. And so kind of, it's much more that it's a fantastic opportunity and a privilege to be in the sort of put in that circumstance. So those definitely don't sit around being resentful. It's more kind of brilliant. Someone's given us the toy box. Let's go.
Now, you hear the term thrown around a lot when it comes to superhero films, but then people talk about fatigue, right? And oftentimes people be like, oh, they've already told that story. Like, how many more of these? So when you're doing something like this or Marion, right, does that come to mind at all? Like, what's your thought on this whole notion of fatigue?
I get it. I'm quite fatigued of Marvel films. I kind of the kind of number one of most of them is great. By the time you're onto like the third sequel, it's like, yeah, you need to do something else. So of course I understand it. I don't know. It's those stories are going to be made, and given distributors and production companies are going to make those stories because they have a sort of a perennial value, don't they? They're always going to be those kind of like Sherlock Holmes is going to keep coming back. Zorro's will come back. Everything gets repeated. It has a market value.
There's 2 Zorro series is in the work at the moment. I think Disney have got one, and someone else who I think maybe Paramount or Showtime.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I just kind of think I get it. I understand it. But if the market is there and if the distributors are enthusiastic about making it, then absolutely ask me. Would I like to? If you're going to make Zorro, ask me to do it. I'd love to do it. So, it's any excuse that I can have to do some kind of ridiculous adventure. I'm there.
Well, I definitely feel like it's the story. You know what I mean? Like, if the story is good, people will come.
Yeah.
So I think that you can have a fatigue if all you're getting is regurgitations.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, yeah, but that's basically what happened in the last one. They haven't changed it. Like, but if you give someone a great story, because I did like the Captain America films, because you had the Winter Soldier and then Civil War, so different, right? That it was just fun to see those different things. And in Civil War, we had Black Panther and Spider-Man turn up, and it was just like, oh shit, that's great. You know, so I think if the story is good, people will come.
Yeah.
So I kind of find with the fatigue thing that I think it's the people, you know, the people that say it, the critics, and so you're not always doing justice to the people watching the films.
Yeah.
But you're kind of thinking they're dumb and they're just like, oh, well, they're not really gonna get this. So
yeah, but I sort of keep saying with this as well that this is a family action adventure. It's for 12-year-old kids, isn't it? It's not for 43-year-old critics. Yeah, so it's kind of, there are lots of things that I absolutely adored from when I was a kid, but they're dreadful in hindsight.
oh gosh, oh, that's so crushing. Where you'd be like, oh, I love that. Let's have a look, and you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, did my parents drop me? Like, how did I like this?
I watched Masters of the Universe again a couple of weeks ago. And I loved that as a kid. If I'm watching it now, good God, it's awful. But the budget on it was massive. Yes. I don't know. I kind of think if there are some teenagers out there entertained by our adventure, then I'm over the moon. And it's a lower budget feature. Of course, we can't compete with Vincent Cassel and or the Orlando Bloom sort of $75 million version. Of course we can't, but that doesn't mean we can't have a ton of fun with what we've got.
Oh well, I mean, I thought this was better than the Paul Anderson one, to be honest with you, Bill.
That's very kind of you, and I'll take that at face value.
No, honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed this. As I said, I thought it was fun, and it just brought me back to those old school adventures, and I thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of it. Because I think sometimes you'll watch things and it's a new telling, and so now they've gone real serious, or we're gonna make it darker. You know what I mean? And it's just it's not.
But people have been making everything darker for the last 20 years. How much darker can you get? It's like,
Mary Poppins is gonna be a serial killer. That's dark,
yeah. Yes. I mean, everybody says gritty. That's the word, isn't it? It's kind of, oh, come on, everyone's what. Everything's gritty now.
It's sometimes you just want something fun, but but also it's getting that balance of the fun. Because you can watch it and it's just too over the top, and you're just like, it doesn't quite mesh. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I said you can bring your kids, your cousins, introduce them to this great story. This works on that level, I thought.
I think Robin Hood Sherwood is sorry, not Robin Hood Sherwood. Robin Hood Prince of Thieves is again another sort of touchstone for tone that we were going for. Do you know what I mean? Is that kind of like adventure romp?
Yes, those. I don't know. It seems that we don't necessarily have a load of those films at the moment. Things are either trying to go dark or sexy, or I think it loses that kind of wonderment element that you can have in a story.
That's what we were hoping for. Yes.
No, it definitely, it definitely worked. And then the possibility, I mean, just when it ended, and it's just like, oh yeah, there's more stories in this kind of universe. I'm like, oh, will we get more? You know what I mean? That was the thought.
Well, of course, I'd love to, but we'll. I guess that's for higher powers than me to decide.
So who do the people need to email to make this happen?
If only we knew.
We'll get a campaign going. Oh man, like when you're thinking about this film, and was there a kind of a thing you'd be like, it has to end at this stage, at this point? What was the thought on that, the ending of the film, how you were going to do that?
Well, again, it's kind of we were basing it. We've got the script by Dean and Ray, and it's kind of it's just that it's the natural end of that adventure, isn't it? It's kind of the threat to the king has been dealt with, and if we're going to go any further, then we are into another half-hour film, but we're into a new adventure, aren't we? So, just the natural place to finish with. It's kind of D'Artagnan has got what he wanted. He's achieved his goal.
Yes. Yeah. Who designed the new livery, by the way?
Oh, that was Jordan, who was our costume designer. Jordan Graf. God, why am I Graf? My memory's so bad. Jordan Graf. And she helped us on Marion as well.
Okay.
And I think she's another Picture Perfect regular.
Like, yeah, I mean, we mentioned this at the start, but you're working with a lot of familiar faces, people you've worked with in the past. What is that like, right? Because I think you see certain people, I think like Josh Whedon, James Cameron, Spielberg, there's a lot of like directors that have this kind of crew, Adam Sandler. And when you're watching this stuff, oftentimes you think, oh, that does look like a lot of fun, right? They're enjoying the experience. But what is it like? And I think especially when you're making films on a limited budget, when you have people that know how you work, right? I think you said about the cinematographer, like knowing the shots that you like and things like that. So how much pressure does that take off of your shoulders, knowing that you've got this crew around you who know you and you've done so many things with?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic, to be honest. It's kind of you just sort of develop a shorthand for everything, kind of, and a trust, and we have a lot of fun together. But I don't know if you registered in Musketeers, but there's a brief scene with a blacksmith, and the blacksmith is John Pellet, who played Little John in Marion.
Yeah,
and I actually called him 2 days ago. I called him because I need a large thug for one of the thing I'm about to shoot. But I had to sort of ring him up and say, John, is it okay if we shave you and give you a spray tan? He's like, oh God, not again. Yes, all right then. and he's in. So kind of everyone knows when they turn up, they're gonna have a lot of fun. And yeah, they're as much a part of the crew as the crew are. So it's kind of it's nice not having. I guess not having to deal with it with unknowns. That's and some of them I've known for like 20 years. So yeah, it really is just getting your friends in to have fun.
No, it definitely looked like it was a lot of fun putting this together, man. I think it comes across in the finished piece.
Excellent, good, glad to hear it.
Did you like when you're doing this, do you record anything for like the DVD? Do you ever like, did you do a commentary track? Did you do any like interviews with people or anything like that?
No, not at all. There's kind of lots of people took photos. I did a few little behind the scenes videos, just myself, kind of walking around the art department and the costume department and that kind of thing. But no, kind of, it doesn't seem to be. There was a point around, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s where with Blu-rays where everything had a making of. And I really enjoyed that, but those days sort of seem to be kind of over now, don't they? They don't really find that as much anymore. So there's no 9 hours of Lord of the Rings style behind the scenes, I'm afraid, for this one.
That does feel like it's Lord of the Rings is kind of like the benchmark, man. Like me and my girl were just talking about like all the document, because it's the 20th anniversary of Return of the King, which I remember seeing that and going, no, and then being like, oh, I'm so old.
And it's 20 years,
like, wow, it's crazy. But it's just those DVDs.
I mean, they're almost as good as the film themselves, aren't they?
Oh man,
the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, it's so fun, so much fun.
Yeah. Yep. Not this time. Maybe next time.
Okay. Like, do you know what the next project is, Bill?
Yeah, well, we've we're just doing post on. We did a World War II film in September
Ah,
for 101 Films.
okay.
So that's the edit's locked. It went to post just last week. So for the online and the sound mix and things. Not sure when that comes out, but within the next few months,
Okay.
there will be some familiar faces in that as well. Actually, the lead for that is James Oliver Wheatley, who played Rochefort in Musketeers.
Ah,
Yeah.
2 eyes this time, or just the one?
Yes, two eyes and a bad attitude. Yeah. So that comes out shortly. We've got another World War II film in the pipelines, which nearly happened a couple of months ago, but then just fell apart for financial reasons. But with a bit of luck, that'll be up and going again. But in the short time, I think I've said I work on documentaries, and we've got sort of 3 series that are running back to back at the moment. So we're shin deep in that. So there'll be a few months before we can kind of wade clear of those, and then try and get another feature going.
Okay. And with the World War film, is it set on like true events, or is this just an adventure, a fictional adventure type of thing created in that framework?
Fictional adventure. It's called Fortunes of War, and unsurprisingly for World War II films, there is a small number of British troops trapped behind enemy lines.
Oh,
there's a somewhat familiar story, perhaps. But yeah, so it's kind of I won't say too much, but it's all about the Brits sort of stumble into a German operation and realize the Germans are up to something that they shouldn't be, and it kind of turns into I guess a little bit Precinct 13. It's kind of a siege movie, I suppose. So there's kind of half a dozen Brits trying to holding out against all comers.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I think I'm gonna be down for that for sure. So, hey, you're gonna have to come by for another conversation, I'm afraid, Bill.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's great to come back again. Thank you.
Oh man, yeah. No, this has been great. And where will people be able to watch the documentaries?
They're almost all Discovery Channel. It's because investigation discovery, true crime documentaries. But they do tend to also then they start on Discovery, and then quite often they end up on either Amazon or Netflix. Kind of, yeah. There's one of the series I've worked on several series of this now. It's called American Monster.
Oh, yeah.
Another one called See No Evil. And a couple of new ones as well.
Okay. Can I ask you, what's it like working on those, true crime type of things? Because there's some harrowing shit that has gone down, and I often wonder what's the toll? Like, what does that do to you? Like seeing some of the things.
Yeah, I mean, yes, some of it is pretty grim. It's grim and fascinating, and I guess the positive that kind of helps you through some of that stuff, I suppose, is that you're able to help other people tell their stories. Because there's the families. Most of the time, when the families are agree to do those shows, they're doing it in order they want people to hear their stories, as well as sort of talking about their loved ones. They also, I guess, they're cautionary tales as well, I suppose, kind of helping kind of people realize what's out there and what to look out for and that kind of thing. So one of the companies I worked for did do a trauma training course for us a couple of years ago, and I'm like,
right,
this is great, but about 10 years too late.
Yeah. The scars are now embedded. It's done. Have you because you like Marion and this and like, are there any other genres you want to play with? Would you do a crime film?
I mean, the mercenary answer is I'll do anything anyone's got a budget for. But actually, no, really, what I'd like to do is period action adventure is absolutely my thing. We've kind of touched on the things that you like, Sharp, or my mind's gone blank immediately. But Richard, I don't know, kind of Henry V, anything that's kind of Gladiator 3.
Well, I did hear that they are oh god, who owns it? I think it was Legendary. I think it's Legendary. We're talking about doing a new Spartacus series.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, I enjoyed that. There was one sort of from about 10 years ago, wasn't there? That was tons of fun.
I did enjoy it. I was a little bit like, no more CGI blood. Like the CGI, that was just the one thing that would bug me. But the rest of it, I just remember the film from back in the it 70s, 60s,
late 60s. I think it's Kirk Douglas, isn't it?
Yeah. I just
it.
remember watching that and just being like, oh man, like because you always used to be like that El Cid, you know what I mean? There's certain things that would always be on TV.
Yep. No, but very much into and influenced by those sorts of things. It sounds like we're very definitely of the similar generation. We've watched a lot of the same stuff.
Yes. Maybe you could tell a better remake of Clash of the Titans, because the one I loved that film so much, like that, like the I never say his name right, Harry
is it Harry Hamlin, I think, something like that.
Because I remember watching it was when it would have been Clash of the Titans came out. And there was a thing on TV, and they were talking about how they did the skeleton scene. And it's not long, but they're like, oh man, so you move each limb, and then you take another shot, and then and I'm just like,
that's Jason and the Argonauts, isn't it? So that's
yes, Jason.
But that's the thing. So Jason and the Argonauts must be, I don't know, it's got to at least be sort of probably mid to late 60s. And then Clash of the Titans is 80s, and Jason the Argonauts is better. That skeleton sequence.
Oh my god!
It's really good.
So good, so good. Those I like that. The Eye of the Tiger, Sinbad, the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, like those films, superb. And when they remade Sinbad, no good. When they did Clash of the Titans, no good. So if you can do that, I'm on board, son.
I would bite your arm off to do those. Absolutely, yes, I'd love to. If anyone's got the budget, let me know.
Oh man, that do Spartacus, any of those things, man.
Absolutely.
But I think what I mean, you've put your calling card down with these last two, so you never know, man. You never know.
Just got to try and get the ball rolling. Cool. Good. Well, thank you very much for having me.
No problem, man. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up again, and thoroughly enjoyed the film, man. So congratulations. It was a blast. Excellent. It was a blast.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. All right.
Cool, man. Oh, before you go, let people know where they can follow you and see all the things that you're up to.
Well, I'm terrible with social media, but you can find me on Instagram as Favors the Bald, as in Fortune favors the bold, but it's bald, no hair. So Favors the Bald, and I post things. I don't know, about once every 2 months. But, that's where most of my stuff will be. If you need to find me,
Cool. Well, people, it's all the links will be on the website, so make sure you go there. But the main thing, get yourself some Three Musketeers, because it is great, and it will be. I think it'll whet your appetite for what's to come. So, Bill, thank you very much. As I said, it's been a pleasure, and looking forward to talking World War II at some point down the line.
Yeah, me too. Brilliant. Nice to see you.
All right, man. Take it easy, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Bye.